Hey, everybody. We're here today with Emily of Rebel Venus Astrology. I'm so happy to have you
Thank you for having me.
here. And we are going to be talking about psychic indicators in a natal chart. Because this is like, I know you get this question. I know you see this question. I've gotten this question. I see it on subreddits, on I, different forums. It is a common thing to get asked about, like, what could possibly point towards being psychic or having psychic gifting in the natal chart. What kind
Yeah.
of what kind of stuff pops out first, like when you think about this?
Well, and I'll say this too, like when I feel like a lot of times when you are doing a reading with someone and you let them know, like, hey, like this can be like give you a strong psychic ability. It can be really like confirming for a lot of people, because I think a lot of people don't allow themselves to like give themselves that type of credit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I will say too, like I 100% believe that everybody can be psychic. Like everyone can learn how to flex that muscle. But there are certain placements, signs, aspects that you'll see in the birth chart that when I see it, I'm like, okay, so you're a person that just like, you don't even have to try. You can just do this naturally. I would say when we look at the most obvious ones, typically I'm looking, if you've got a sun, moon, or rising in a water sign,
Yes.
chances are you're pretty damn psychic. If you have energy happening in the water houses, so if you have fourth house energy, if you have eighth house energy, if you have 12th house energy, and when I'm saying we all have this energy, but I'm meaning you've got shit going on there, like you've got planets there. That's an indicator right there that you may have a natural ability. I have found too that if you have, like, let's say Neptune conjunct your sun, Neptune conjunct your moon, Neptune conjunct even like the angles.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
That can be a really good indicator.
Let me ask, for conjunctions with that, how close do you like them to be, or what, you know what I mean? Like, what would you?
So I feel like when you have, for like sun, moon, and rising, like angles,
Uh-huh.
I get when it's an outer planet with an inner. Of course, I feel like I kind of ask questions to see how that energy is presenting, because I have noticed, I know that there are some people that are really, really strict with how wide.
Yeah.
I am not one of those people. I am more like, open for suggestion. Like, I feel like it is different for everyone based off of their own sensitivity.
That makes a lot of sense to me. There's not necessarily like you should always use this, just yeah. Uh-huh.
I'm a big fan of like not having like any like super set rules. Like I feel like a lot of times we can be surprised by like, what people can feel.
Yeah.
But if it's like, let's say you've got like Mars 9 degrees away from Neptune, maybe you feel it, maybe you don't. That's where I kind of start asking questions to see how the energy presents for the individual.
Well, and that's an awesome thing to just because there are some people that read that don't ask questions, right? Like, they just kind of assume. Just the asking of questions is an awesome thing to do, because you might even in asking those questions, they might realize things that they maybe hadn't really thought about in that wait, you know what I mean? It might even wake them up to more of what's going on.
Yeah, like, and for example, like, let's say somebody has, their sun in conjunction with Neptune, and you say to them, so, have you like experienced having any like psychic or intuitive abilities? And that person might not think of it, but let's say that what they are experiencing is anxiety, or they're experiencing depression, or paranoia, or, other aspects of how that conjunction can play out.
Yeah.
And then you can present with the information. Well, have you ever thought about maybe you're experiencing anxiety because you are picking up on so much energy all of the time that is overloading the system?
And then it kind of reframes it for them. And it's like, and then they kind of like, they take some time to process that. Maybe that is, what's going on, which then kind of reframes how they think about, anxiety or depression, and that's actually very empowering.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about the reframe.
Yeah.
And then it kind of turns that thing where is kind of like felt like it was hindering you into more of like a superpower that you have.
Yeah. And it is something that you can have more control over, kind of, and how you utilize it. And
yeah. So another thing I'm always looking out for is like, what do you have going on with Pisces? Like, do you have Pisces? That is a Pisces, I would consider the most intuitive, although I hate like putting labels on things like that, but like, right, Pisces is known as
incredible. Very, very intuitive energy. Really, when I think about like the Pisces Virgo axis, it's like Pisces is like the otherworldly, the one who has the energy that has the ability to tap into that psychic stuff. And then Virgo is kind of what can bring it down to earth,
Totally. Yeah. And then on that other side of it, I feel like with Virgo, where Pisces will just kind of get like that intuitive, like knowing, on the other side of the axis, I think Virgo will get it like in the gut, like that feeling.
Yeah, that makes a lot. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Especially just like even what Virgo energy has like an affinity for, like right. It has. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Typically, also too, then like Cancer and Scorpio placements. Like, do you have strong energy in those signs? That is, a natural ability right there. When we're looking at Mercury, let's say Pisces and Mercury, which it can be like, Mercury is not stoked to be in Pisces, not happy there. I actually have that placement, and it is pretty damn challenging, oftentimes, because the way you intellectualize is just oftentimes a lot different than other people who even be like associated with like learning disabilities and things of that nature. But Pisces and Mercury, you have a very strong connection to your intuitive side.
Yeah, like, and it almost seems like with that, the mind would almost work better. And I put better in quotes because there's no, really there's no better or whatever, but it seems like it would, or maybe be more comfortable. The mind would be more comfortable functioning from a more intuitive place, and not like trying to shut that down, which would be hard for Mercury, who is so logic and reason based, and
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Other placements, when I think of Uranus aspects too.
Yeah.
Which that is, I feel like with Uranus, like if let's say your sun is aspecting Uranus, your moon, your Mercury, whatever that planet that Uranus is aspecting, that seems to be like sudden downloads, flashes, that sudden sense of knowing. I tend to think of Mercury in Aquarius super, super intuitive. It like comes through in a different sense.
Yes, it comes through like it's like a lightning bolt.
Like a lightning bolt.
That comes in, and it's one of those that it's very, very fast. There's not I know I mentioned control earlier, having control over it. This one doesn't really seem like one that's as easy to have control over, just because it's like sporadic. Yeah. So it's like when you do get them, the control stems from like actually taking notice.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That definitely makes sense. If I've also so Neptune, I know I keep talking to Neptune, that's like such the obvious one, but like Neptune in the 8th is a big one. Neptune in the 12th, Neptune in the 4th. I found with that one. I also like when you have planets that are, and by the way, like this can work obviously, even if it's like a square in opposition, a sextile, a trine, like while the harmonious aspects like come through easier, even with like those harder aspects, you can still like that energy is still there.
Absolutely. And sometimes I've even found with those challenging aspects, the person's actually able to, or they have like a catalyst or there's like a drive to actually really do something with it to ease make the relationship between the planets easier.
Yeah, absolutely. I have found too, like with whenever like Pluto's involved with like, let's say like your Mercury is trining Pluto, your moon is trining Pluto. I feel like that is another aspect where you have this, it's almost like you can just like dig information out of it. Like you can just, it's like that ability to be like a detective, and it's like this mix of like research. The more you research, the more you can just kind of put pieces of a story together when you have Pluto involved.
Yeah, and even like there is like there's also the intensity.
Yeah.
Actually like keep going, and even like Pluto being like the higher octave of Mars, there is a drive thing with Pluto. It's not Mars drive, but there is a drive thing there, to keep going, to keep
yeah. What are some of the one aspects that you have noticed?
I was gonna say the chart ruler, seeing that in like in the 12th specifically. I mean, also the 8th and the 8th and the 4th too, but the 12th, it's like the person tends to be there is a sponginess. And oftentimes it's like they have to figure out how, because that really is a gift, right? That truly is. There's a gifting with that. But it's like, how do you handle that and not make it hurt you, or hinder you? How do you use it to its highest possible potential?
Yeah.
But definitely the chart ruler in one of those houses. Galactic center stuff.
Yeah.
Planets there, super galactic center as well. Tend to have some kind of in retrograde planets.
Interesting. I actually never considered that before, but that's really interesting.
It's the internalization of that. Now, and to be clear, this is if the person's working with that retrograde energy,
of course.
Right? If they're working against it, it doesn't quite play out this way. But I do think that I think that retrograde planets can be incredibly intuitive.
Yeah.
And if the person is working with that retrograde energy, I think they can really tap into that and even psychic stuff. Yeah.
That totally makes sense because like they're redoing this this aspect, this energy that has,
Yeah.
like they've been there before, they know it.
Yeah.
There is that stored knowledge.
Data.
Yeah, that stored data that's already there. I've also noticed like with like Sag risings and Sag placements, or even like certain ninth house placements, there is prophetic, like it's like knowing things are going to happen type of energy.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, as somebody with a lot of Sagittarius in their chart, there are things that have happened in my life, and before they happened, I was like, I remember thinking to myself, this is going to happen. I maybe not exactly knew the way it was going to happen, but I was like, this is going to happen. So I need to prepare for this happening in some kind of way. The prophetic. Yes. I think there is something, to that.
And like what you had said too, like about the fourth house, I feel like when there's a lot going on, like especially like stelliums in the fourth house, I feel that is a lot of times indicative of, especially when you've got outer planets there, of like this generational, like kind of passed down.
Yeah.
Psychic receptivity that you have there.
Absolutely. Yeah. And in those cases, I would think it'd be really important, or really, I mean, people can do whatever they want, but it seems like it would be important to kind of ask family members if maybe, kind of like go through,
who's the witch?
Yeah. I think that's even eighth house. I would say maybe the same thing with the, the inheritance quality. I also think of the eighth as like actual, like generational and genetic inheritance too. So any kind of outer planets that happen to, or any planets in general, but definitely the outer planets with the generational influence.
Yeah.
Neptune. If you feel, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was going to say Neptune in the first.
Yes. And that's like front and center, it's like it's coming through your very sense of self.
Yeah.
What kind of advice, and I know that it's not necessarily our jobs to give advice, but I know people like it. Sometimes some people do like it. What kind of advice do you give to people that you see that there's a lot going on in their chart that might indicate, they have some, they're strongly psychic and they want to be able to utilize it best, or what kind of advice would you?
I think that the first thing that is the most important thing that someone can do is to learn how to trust their intuition, to recognize what it is, how it's coming through, and knowing that they can trust it. Like when I tell people that first feeling, that first thought that you get, that's your intuition. Your second thought is like you doubting your intuition. Like that first thing that comes through is always your intuition speaking first. The other thing that is like a dead giveaway too is like your body will tell you, like your body tells you what's going on.
It does. You'll get this is going to sound strange, but sometimes when I'm getting some kind of feeling about something that it just doesn't feel right, like whatever's going on, it doesn't feel right, I'll get like what feels like a layer of, I don't actually have a layer of slime on me, but it'll feel like a layer of slime, like slime. And it's this sounds strange. It feels like it's growing. And it's like, the more I ignore it, the more I try to ignore this feeling, the more it grows.
Yeah.
And it's like, I just will go, and the only way it'll get off is if I do something about what I'm picking up on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that like your body always tells you like what's going on and will tell you whether someone is good or not for you, whether a situation is good or not for you. I also think that people who have a lot of empathic, psychic, intuitive placements, like it is so important that they are cleansing their energy on a regular basis, because we collect so much like gunk, like so much shit that's like not even ours, and it can cloud what you're feeling. And I think it's super, super important to constantly be clearing, whether it's like with sage, Palo Santo, like a spray, whatever it is, but that you have that constant like washing off energy that doesn't belong, so yours can come through more clearly.
Yeah, not get blended with the stuff. And it doesn't even, sometimes it's not even bad stuff that we come in contact with, but it's just not ours. We just don't need it for, what other sorts of cleaning and clearing?
Well, I know like this is something that we've talked about before, but for me, water is like a great way to cleanse. I personally don't get into bed at night without taking a shower. It's just that like act of like the water cleansing your energy field. And put crystals in there as well.
I love that, but I don't actually do that, but I think I'm going to start because I really like the idea of putting them in there. I like that. I'm going to start doing that.
Well, you know what's really interesting too, like water, obviously being the element that represents the water signs, the most intuitive signs of the zodiac. If you've ever noticed that water enhances your ability to get messages. Like if you think about when you're in the shower, how often do you get some of your best downloads?
No, this is very true. Or even in a pool.
Yeah.
Or at the beach.
Of course, the ocean is like your number one. Like,
yeah, but no, you're right. It is. It's a good. I don't know if this is a proper term, but like a good conductor for that. I don't know if it's actually a conductor. I'm not.
That's how I think of it.
Yeah, but yeah, it is. It like helps. It helps things to come through.
Mm-hmm. I actually do think it's a conductor. Like I think it absolutely helps with that for sure.
What about just staring into water? Like what it was like hydromancy kind of in a sense. Just like being.
I think even just like when you're like definitely like I think just like even being near it, like taking a moment, like trying to like a reflective moment, whether it be meditation or like whatever that form of meditation means to you. Like I think just being in the proximity of water helps to strengthen that element.
This is something, and I know that earlier we were talking about, dreams, right? But I thought about something that I remember reading, and I don't know if you've ever done this. I don't know if I've really ever done it myself. Putting a glass of water by your bed when you're sleeping. As I don't know, I've never actually done this. Have you done that?
I actually go to sleep with water next to my bed every single night, whether I take a sip of it or not. I have water next to my next to my bed. I have quartz, rose quartz, whatever is like I cleanse my crystals pretty often, amethyst. But I have water next to those crystals every single night.
And you are somebody who does it seemed like remember your dreams better than I do. So I'm going to start doing that too then because
yeah, I think that and also like I this is like another thing, making sure that you cleanse your house, like energetically cleanse your house. Even keeping, this sounds like a weird one, but having less things around you.
Oh,
clutter.
Yeah, and the clutter, that makes a lot of sense. The clutter, I feel like could keep, how do I put this? Like it could either it could either bunch up the energy that's trying to come in so that you can receive, or it can scatter it or scramble it.
100%.
Because like I know, like I work outside, right? But like my son's got all his fucking toys out here and there's a bunch of shit everywhere, right? And I do know that I mean, I'm not super clean by any stretch of the imagination, but things do come easier when I have it blown off, like the leaves blown off the back porch, when I have his toys picked up more than they probably are right now. You know?
Yeah. Even like with like clutter in the house, like when it's the more stuff that you have that can like collect dust and cobwebs and things like that, I feel like it does like dull your space in that way. Like it's like a dusty crystal. Like your crystals are not going to work great if they've been on the shelf, you know, since 98 and you haven't done anything with them and they've got like 2 inches of dust on them. It's not going to work as well as it would.
Yeah. That is a very good point to bring up, the dust, the clutter. And it's something that I think people don't always think can benefit them beyond just, you know, things looking tidier, right? You know, but I mean, shit, when you do like a real good cleaning just in general, right? Which I honestly don't do that often because my attention span. But when I do, it feels really good. You know, you just energetically feel really good.
Yeah. It's something I've like really, because I work from home. And so I need the best possible space to help me stay focused.
Yeah.
And I have really, 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 like since 2020, I have just purged so much shit. And but that I think is also part of it too, like constantly moving things out, like not holding on to like when you move out things and you're making room for other.
Well, and this also, it does. And also because, you know, you mentioned the water element, right? Water fluidly moves. It doesn't, you know, assuming that there's not anything to stop it, right? Like it's just going to go.
Right.
So this fits with, it does make sense. Yes.
Well, and I think also too, it's like what the same placements and aspects that can give you this natural psychic ability are the same energies that can make you like scatterbrained, discombobulated. You know, have you ever met like a Pisces or strong water energy that is like not like out to lunch like half of the time? Like you know, it's like connected to something else. And so the more, the better your space is, the better your environment is to suit your needs and you know, help you function better, makes a big difference.
Yes. And also I was going to ask about grounding for people that have like, you know, a lot of Pisces energy, a lot of Scorpio energy, a lot of Cancer energy, or just a lot of psychic or intuitive energy as it is, grounding stones to kind of, because it's a delicate balance of, because you don't want to ground so much that nothing comes in, right? But it's like you want to ground in such a way that it can come down to planet Earth, or something can be done with it.
Yeah.
Do you recommend anything for any kinds of stones for things like that?
Well, what's funny is that my feet right now are in a grounding mat that is
I love it.
That's actually, I probably don't need it now, but I use it for like when I'm doing readings so I don't get like too you know, exhausted.
That's awesome.
It's a grounding mat that, and I could not explain to you like why this works, but seems to work. I can't explain the technology behind it, but it's like I got it off of Amazon. It was $30 and it seems to work. So a grounding mat is a new thing that I'm trying that's working pretty well. Like some of this, like like tree agate, I believe.
Okay.
Wrong. That is a good one. Smoky quartz, I believe, is a good one. See, the thing is like I know all the ones that can help with your intuition. As far as grounding, I usually I look for like darker, because a lot of when I have a whole bunch of crystals and I kind of just like intuitively pick them up as I feel like, oh, this is what I need right now. But like the darker, anything with like a dark green,
or even black.
Well, I was gonna say like obsidian.
Yeah.
Can be good. Tourmaline.
Yeah.
The protective stuff will also ground.
Yes. Yeah.
And that is like I'm funny about it because I like to wear obsidian when I go out just as a protective, but it's also like not the best like beneficial for me. But if that makes sense.
Yeah, and you mean like beneficial for you in terms of like the intuitive and psychic stuff?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because it really is, because you don't want to I get that. You don't want to dull it all the way. You don't want to shut it down.
Right.
But yeah, it's like I found a very fine balance. I found even, and this could be just wearing like darker colors can do that.
Totally. You notice how we both have black on?
Yeah. And I wear a lot of black when I really think about it. I do think that there's probably more of a reason that I do that than
it's a protective.
Just because yes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Are there any other things in the chart that stand out when?
This one is like a little bit, actually, this one like just came to me, but I have noticed that Chiron conjunct planets angles. That one is usually can indicate psychic ability as well. I found. Have you found that with Chiron?
It certainly can. Yes. I found that and this is not universal, but that it's not always like there could be some kind of a pain surrounding this when it happens, or even the acceptance that this happens.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, yeah.
And it's almost like it's kind of different than the other ones. It's more of like this like wisdom that's been gained for a long time.
Yes.
In like different places where it just kind of strengthens. And I've also noticed that Chiron in those important conjunctions can also really enhance dreams as well.
Yeah. I mean, I don't personally have that, but people that I know that do have things like that. Yes, they do have they're very tapped into. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Which makes sense.
Yeah. And even like just.
Oh no, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm sorry. We had a lag.
Oh no. Sorry about that. Internet's weird. No, I was gonna say, Chiron being the bridge between Saturn and Uranus, it does kind of, it definitely makes sense that it would play in this way.
Yeah. Like I've even noticed, like for myself personally, like when there are Chiron transits happening, my dreams, it almost like for me is like a Neptune transit, in the way that it like kind of strengthens like my dreams, and like it almost feels like it comes through similar to Uranus, where it's like a little tiny like down, it's like a softer version the way it comes through.
It's not quite the lightning bolt that
whisper.
Yeah, a little bit more like a whisper. Yeah,
where Uranus like zaps you in the ass and you just like yeah. And you know exactly what's happening.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm watching the time. I'm actually trying to pay attention. I think we are at about time. So if you want to share where people can find you.
So you can find me on Instagram at Rebel Venus Astrology, where you can also find a link to my website. if you want to book or just follow along with my astrology reports.
Very good. Very, very good. And I'll also throw out that that me and Emily met through Universal Sync, which is a collective of astrologers coming together. I'll also put the link to that if anybody's curious, anybody wants to check it out. But I'm very happy that I crossed paths with you there. I just gotta say, I love your energy. I have loved it since the first time I saw you on Instagram, like when I was kind of connected with you. You're fabulous, truly.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I've been very, very happy to connect with you. We kind of have that like similar energy, the sad, I don't know, you have Pisces, but you're 12th house. So it's like that.
Yeah, I do have this. Yeah, the sun and the 12. Yeah. So, I mean, I do get the Pisces, 12th house, Neptunian kind of, I get it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All
Well,
right.
thank you for having me.
And thank you for being a part. Thank you. I'm glad you wanted to do it. And to everybody else, we're gonna head off, but I will see you all later.